Welcome back to the Finding Flow podcast. I just want to take a quick second to thank our sponsors, the Inflow Wellness Academy, located in Plymouth, Michigan. They offer some amazing services that can help you better achieve these states of flow by optimizing your health and your wellness. Their services include personal training for general population, for athletes, for just about anybody. They offer pain modalities like massage therapy, laser therapy, yoga, durability classes, and they're experts in nutrition and supplementation. So if you're really looking to take your health and your body and your wellness to the next level, that's the place to be. That's the place to seek out. You can find them at inflowacademy.com. You can find them on Facebook and YouTube at Inflow Wellness Academy and on Instagram at Inflow Academy. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get the ball rolling.
Everything changes.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Finding Flow podcast. I'm Kevin Lowers.
I am Ben Knapp.
How you been? How was your New Year?
Things are it's pretty typical. It's funny. It seems to be more anticlimax year over year. So I think I might have made it to actually 10 o'clock that night. So so I guess my New Year, I think I was more on a different time zone for my celebration. But it was great, man. How about you?
Yeah, it was good. I made it to the New Year this time. Last year I fell asleep at like 9:30. I was just too much.
So you saw the ball drop.
I didn't. Actually, we did. And I almost missed it because I lost the channel. I couldn't figure out the channel.
Funny.
We might have been having a couple drinks that night, and I almost forgot about how the ball drops, which is such a strange. It's just a strange thing. Like whenever I watch the videos of like Ryan Seacrest hosting in downtown New York, I get anxiety by how many people are just like sardine packed into this little area.
And they have to be wearing diapers. Like, how do you pee there?
There's no way. And they're probably drunk, so they have to pee every couple minutes. And it's freezing.
Maybe that's actually kind of like the Dumb and Dumber episode where they're on that little motorcycle and he pees and it's the only way they get warm.
I don't know, man. Every year, like you said, I think I just want to be in my warm house.
But if I were Ryan Seacrest, I'd be like, look, dude, I'm Ryan Seacrest. Like, let's do this in Hawaii.
Yeah, that's the move. But New York is just, it's the hub. People don't like to change. People don't want to change.
What is it about? What did I hear? Something about that they actually referred to like New York City as a prison. In other words, it's like you can never leave. It's like if you're from there, you can't leave. And if you go to live there, you can't leave. So it's weird. I don't know how I read it, but I did. Something about those, like once you're there, like you can't get out. So I guess it's cool. But
have you been there?
No.
I've never been there.
Are you kidding me, man?
I went to the first big city I ever went to was Toronto, and I didn't even know. I had no idea it was bigger than Chicago. So I hopped on a train. I was going down there for the functional range conditioning certification, and I took the train, or I drove into Windsor, took the train down. I didn't realize the train takes you like straight into the heart of the city. So I walk out in Toronto, and it's just like this massive city, and I was just instant anxiety. And I called an Uber because where I was going was just outside of like downtown Toronto, and I could see the Uber on my thing. I could see him. He was 1 block away, and it was going to take him 25 minutes to get to me. Yeah. And that was immediately, I was like, this is cool, but
I think I probably fell in love with it. It's like when you go somewhere on vacation and you never want to leave, because 7 days of anything, it's going to be great, right? But Chicago, I was falling in love with Chicago there. I was visiting a buddy of mine a lot, and it was an amazing city because it just seemed so like it never ended. Like what they refer to as downtown Chicago, like never ends.
Yeah.
And so I thought for certain, like, this is where I want to live. Like, this is where I want to be. And then, riding the L, is really cool when you're a visitor. But on a day like today when it's like 20 below zero, I don't know that walking to that train station is cool. I don't know
that's what it was for me. I was in Toronto last January, and I think it's cold here. I mean, it is brutal. I think that was one reason why, because I'd love to go back. I'm actually thinking about going there for like my bachelor party because it's just a cool city. I've heard great things. And when I was there for 3 days for a cert. I didn't explore it all. But I was in Chicago a couple months ago during summer, and it was like we got on the bikes. You can get the divvy bikes.
Yeah.
You just rent them.
Yeah.
And I rode like 35 miles just through the city, which is a great experience. But again, I don't know. I like the idea of kind of what you've done living in Commerce, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, where you're
by the lake.
Yeah, you kind of get the lake, you get this country feel, but then you can drive into the city.
I'm 2 miles from 12 Oaks Mall. So
I don't think I can do, and that's the thing that I've come to a conclusion for myself is I want the comfort of like a cabin almost to live in, but then I don't want to be too far detached from like the city, at least for my life. For, a week, 2 weeks at a time, it's really nice to kind of reset. But to live like that.
Yes, like the Alaska, that show Alaska, The Last Frontier.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I feel like, I think every guy says I could do that. I could live off the land and I could chop wood all day. And I'm like, I could, as long as I'm within a stone's throw of like a Walmart.
Yeah.
Like I'll go chop wood all day. But if I break my, axe blade, I don't want to have to chop down a tree to hand carve out another one. I just want to go up to the store and just get one. And hopefully I have,
Yeah, when I'm tired, I don't want to like do anything,
Like, you got to go check the generator.
Yeah, those people, there's just no stopping. It is. There's like a strong attraction to it, to live off the land and, be savvy with your hands, be able to build things. There's definitely a draw to it. Yeah. And I think a month of it, whenever I watch those shows, I'm like, I'd love to do this for a month. And then come back to like my, central air conditioning and my furnace that heats my house, and the Walmart down the street, even though I don't really shop at Walmart much.
Sure you don't.
Every once in a while I shop at Walmart.
Sure,
you walk in there and
they
you're
got great
like,
deals.
I know, it's insane. Their deals.
I mean, come on.
And their door greeters are always happy.
Yeah.
Never not a frowning face.
So what's new? What you've been working on?
Yeah, just trying to, get the wheels back on the track after the last couple days of Christmas and the New Year. I know something that we've both been working on is kind of this corporate wellness stuff and the team building aspect of what we do at Inflow, and trying to help companies incorporate it to get more productivity and, more joy out of their employees. But myself, I've, just kind of been reflecting on the year ahead and the past year and what we got to do to make the things.
Let me ask you: Did you are you still playing around with the idea of like resolutions? Like, I know we touched on it a little bit in our last podcast, but we're here now. So, how much time do we spend, reflecting on the last, 50-ish weeks of our life? Do we do that? Do we embrace the day? Or just continue, one day leading into the next? I think it's an interesting question. I heard somebody else ask it, like, is New Year's Eve underrated, overrated, or is it perfect? And, what does it mean to you? So I think I reflect, but I think I do it all the time.
Yeah, that's for me, it's as simple as those last few weeks of the year are just, they're like, to keep my focus becomes very difficult. There's just too many things going on. In our business, people are just kind of checked out. It resets at the new year. Obviously, everyone wants to get healthy and fit in the new year. And those last couple of weeks from Christmas to New Year's, everyone's just like partying and drinking and eating. And it's kind of hard to keep the focus. So when the new year hits, I think everything just like the waves stop and it's easier to kind of, grab back on. But I don't really like the idea of, I don't really have like resolutions, or when I reflect, I think it helps to kind of look at the year and assess and say, when I started this year, did I get where I was trying to go, or at least like in the vicinity of where I was trying to go? And I had a crazy year, a lot of transition from quitting my job to kind of starting a business and then kind of merging, with everything you guys were doing at Power Performance, and now kind of pushing this new vision, buying a house, getting engaged. So it was definitely a fascinating year to reflect on, and I'm hoping for a bit of a smoother 2018, to be honest.
Yeah, I love. I like it, and I'm sometimes paralyzed by it. What our topic's going to be today. That topic, that team building, or what the corporate world might call corporate wellness. That's something that the Inflow Wellness Academy wants to tap into. It's intimidating, because it seems like, well, what if 100 people walk in here and we've got to help them all get well? Am I ready for it? Am I ready for, exponential growth? I've referred to my personal growth as the universe will provide me with what I need when I'm ready. So I've kind of used that as my model recently. Like, if you don't have the amount of people, in your facility or doing business with you that you want, then look no further than the mirror, right? So I just assume that, when I'm ready, it'll happen. I do, believe in manifestation. I do believe in, things will come in due time, to continue to, part of like a resolution. But my resolution is, it's almost like I wanna use New Year's Eve like every day. Like I want to be excited about that day, and I want to look forward to the following day. But that, it's like that team building, that wellness project, and how we want to incorporate it here. It's kind of a big deal, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, I the idea of it is so intriguing to me because, and we've kind of gone from like private training to semi-private training with the intention to help more people in that hour. You're right. So that kind of jump to corporate wellness and being able to influence an entire company, possibly, is even more intriguing to me because for my own personal growth, that's kind of the end goal, is to touch as many people with my ability to help them get healthy and well, because there's nothing worse than being in pain. We've talked about it many times that at some point in your life, health will become your number one priority. Maybe it's not right now. Maybe you're a mother. Maybe you've just been getting by on the seat of your pants because you're 25 and you can eat whatever you want and you don't gain any weight and you haven't run into any health issues. But if you continue down bad paths of treating your meat vehicle, eventually it's gonna come up, and you're either gonna have to deal with doctors, and you're gonna have to be preventative, reactive rather than preventative, and it's something that I just don't want to see people go through. Especially people in pain. People in pain that just live with it, it becomes normal to them. I mean, that's what I want my message to be here at the Inflow Wellness Academy, is that it is not normal to live in pain. And there are ways out of it that don't include surgery or medications. There's always holistic ways out, almost always, I should say. There's definitely, if you get hit by a truck, you're probably going to need some surgery to fix some of that stuff up and some drugs. But just the idea of helping people on a larger scale attracts me. And I think that we have the capacity. Our team at the Inflow Wellness Academy, I think, could. I don't know that 100 people would walk through the door at once. I don't know if that's even a realistic way to look at it, because even if we did land an account, you got to kind of do some convincing still. But at least we would have our foot in the door to kind of show up and start to try to persuade people that this is one of the most important things and the most important pillars in your life, and you need to be selfish for this one. Because when you're 75, 80 and your kids are having kids, you're going to want to be able to hang out with them and play and pick them up and do things. And taking the proactive approach now, today, is how you can, accomplish that later in life.
Yeah, why is people? Because again, to live your ultimate existence, you have to be selfish, and people are so afraid to identify a behavior as, well, it's all about me, and this is something I need to do for me, and it's kind of like that egoic way of looking at something, and the people that you're talking to say, well, what about us? That's ethnocentric, so you're looking at things from an us standpoint. But, even in corporate wellness, you need, even in a group, it's still each individual's personal motivation to live as well as possible that makes up this group dynamic, right? So you have to have an outlier in any group, somebody that kind of, that cream that rises to the top and becomes a vocal leader in a group. So I think that's what I was doing some research on, what is a team? What does it mean to actually build a team? And I was kind of fascinated by the results. But yeah, it's but still, even within a group, and whether it's corporation, whether it's a team, whether it's an athletic team, each individual, don't they have to have a certain amount of selfishness?
100%, always. It all starts there. You know what I mean? You have to. There's certain things in life that you have to be selfish with. Otherwise, you're going to be doing a disservice to the greater picture. If you can't take care of yourself and you're a liability, you're not helping anybody.
Yeah, it's when you get hired in, you say, I'm going to be the best at this position. And as the employer, why don't I deserve better? Why don't I deserve you coming in well-rested and well-adjusted? And why don't you have things done in a timely fashion? So, to be a great team player, you have to be a really, really high-quality individual.
Yeah, I think where the team dynamic is powerful, and the whole kind of group think idea, is the power in numbers. You see people around you constantly trying to make themselves better, and it inspires you. So it really all comes back. The team leverages your ability to be selfish in a way. You know what I mean? When I see other people around me taking care of themselves, I feel more inclined to take care of myself. I want to take care of myself. So I think that's kind of where the momentum can shift, and I think that's why, a wellness program for businesses, for corporations, for athletic teams is so important, because it starts to build more of that group dynamic, and it kind of pushes this bigger entity towards a bigger goal instead of one person doing it, and trying to do it that way. Having that support system around you is obviously incredibly powerful.
Well, isn't if I own a corporation, say I've got 100 employees, aren't I being selfish by wanting to build a very healthy bottom line? In other words, profitability.
Yeah, but that's normal,
right?
Because that's what's expected of you in a corporate. That's why this is a hard conversation to tap into, because it's like we haven't evolved as a society yet to understand the importance. We put dollar signs are more important than the heart. I mean, it's outrageous. It truly is not. That was when I started thinking about the idea. I started doing research, and I realized that this is just one of the most broken systems in 2018 ever. And we have all the resources to dominate this field of corporate wellness, or just wellness in general. There's no reason for us to be so unhealthy in 2018. There's zero reason, except laziness, bad leadership, poor self-discipline, and not an educated system. There's not someone helping you. And obviously that's what we do here on more of an individual basis. But if we could provide that on a more scalable way, it could be one of the most powerful transitions in the healthcare industry ever. Instead of an insurance company just knocking off premiums for reading an article on yoga, we want to be in there talking to people. I want to get to know Mike, and I want to know why Mike struggles with his weight, and I want to know, what Mike's life is at home and what we can do to help him on an individual basis. And then I want to do that for Steve and, everybody in the whatever corporate wellness account we have, because that's what's going to eventually kind of cause the momentum shift. Obviously, it's going to, if it got that big and that large, you would need more people. But you're seeing, is it Exos? Mm-hmm. You're seeing them do this in more, what's the word I'm looking for here? More proactive companies that are trying to establish this new way of doing business and treating employees. Getting away from the time cards. Yeah, the outlier, exactly. That's kind of what I was looking for. And they're doing it with great success. And employees are more productive. Employees are more energetic. They're happier. They're just generally better off for it.
I tried looking for a couple of like a coin phrase or like a word that describes, what is it? What is team building? And what I found was you're always going to get part of your staff that's going to become motivators. In other words, they kind of rise up as the environment calls for it. So you get that from team building. Again, kind of people building people. It fixes things that are weak, and new relationships can come from it. And again, all that's going to correlate. A good business owner will know that these new relationships and these new motivation tasks, like Dale Carnegie. That's why the guys, they'll spend millions of dollars in sending their staff to Dale Carnegie to learn how to be nice, to learn how to talk to each other. So I feel like we have a good understanding of what they're looking for, what they're looking for with these team building strategies. Your employees maybe hating each other a little bit less, so they work together more cooperatively. So, when you look at that, so we know what the end result is. We know what the motivating factors are. We know what the boss feels entitled to, the type of product they're entitled to. So what was drastic is when I looked at the type of programs that are available to people. I question, or maybe I'm just interested in, have they actually gathered any data on these online wellness programs and how it's improved sales, how it's improved margins, how it's improved the motivation within these small teams and within staff. So it's I hope they've gotten success from it. These programs aren't cheap. They're not.
Yeah, I don't. I don't know how from what I've researched, there's not too much data on that on the online programs. But you got to think too. There's enough information on the internet today for anybody to get in shape. I mean, there's not a lack of information. Okay. So to pump more information into people's inboxes, it can't be an effective way. I mean, it's foolish, in my opinion, to think that if I send an email out saying, hey, here's your healthy tip of the day, that's going to make a measurable change in the performance of the company.
Can't say it's not making any change.
No, not at all. But I'm saying like a measurable change.
Measurable.
You know what I mean? So that you might get, if you got 500 employees, maybe a few of them follow that recipe. Maybe a few of them change their life because of it. And I have nothing against that. I just don't think it's the most optimal way to go about the programs. And I think that's where we're interested.
Optimization.
And I think exactly. And I think that's got to always be the end goal always has to be to continue to get better in some way, right? So I think that to evolve this wellness, you got to get away from that. And I think if we were to develop a program for a company, I think we would still have newsletters. I don't think it's a bad thing to have, but there's got to be more to it. There's got to be something tangible to grab onto. They got to, like, the employees got to know us. You know what I mean? We got to know the employees. We got to know the leaders. We got to get the leaders inspired and motivated and excited about making their employees healthy. And then at the end of the day, another big key factor is the amount of data and science that is now linking the health of your brain to the health of your body.
Wait a minute, you're saying that the mind is attached to the body?
I think so.
Really?
I always thought was that the only purpose of the body was to get the head from point A to point B. I'm just now realizing that it's not. Well, yeah, I mean it's ridiculous. More neurotransmitters are built in your gut than in your brain. So if you're eating, cheeseburgers every lunch break and never eating anything that's good for you, you're just not going to be in the greatest mood at work.
Well, my doc friend, she's amazing. She says food is information.
That's a beautiful saying. Yeah,
so as you're eating, you are informing the body, and every bite will tell a tale. But we can probably appreciate the misguided information that may come from a Pop-Tart as opposed to what may come from a nice big green and purple and red salad or something like that. So I found some interesting things to your point about where wellness is at now, what are really, really common. And here's some things that I found. They're using a lot of online tools, like a lot of online resources, to your point. A lot of newsletters, a lot of did you knows, a lot of how to clean out the cupboards, and those are great. They have incentive trackers, where if you get a group and people are putting in, weight loss or different measurements, so they're incentivizing, I guess, people that actually log their information. They got mobile apps. People love giving away those Fitbits, right? They're like, okay, count your steps, and that's great. They have team challenges, goal setting, online coaching. So those are all some really good things. So it can't be all bad, right? So all those things, all that information, all those apps, making it as easy as a click away, and you can get your healthy tidbit for the day. It's not all bad, is it?
No, it's great. I mean, again, I would never go against any of that stuff. I think anybody that's trying to push health in a workplace is doing something good, and it's not having the effect that you want, and I think it's passive. I think it's too passive. Like, to just expect that people are going to open the stuff and track their information and log their information in the masses is just, I mean, you've completely neglected human nature in 2018 to expect that from somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, think about how hard it is for us to take a client that we see 3 days a week and get them to listen to us and actually follow through
on their diet. And that's extremely intimate, yeah.
Yeah, and that's about as intimate as it's going to get from like a coaching perspective. So how do you get that? I don't know. I don't know that if we decided to go that route that we could have more than 1 or 2 accounts. And maybe that's what we have to focus on as a company, because I in my head I have a vision of a product that's unmatched. And I think back to the point of Exos, they've done that incredibly well, and obviously they're huge. They're a huge company. And there's a lot of moving parts, and again, I don't even know if I would ever want to be that big. And that's kind of like the catch-22 of it all. Because at what point do you stop delivering the best service because you've grown too much? And can you keep the integrity of that service and have 50 corporate accounts and 100,000 employees. Like, can you? Is it possible? I don't know. And I think I've done a lot of reading recently on like how broken our conventional healthcare system is. And I think that the shift will come when that changes too. When we realize that 7 out of 10 deaths are related to chronic illness and not acute, problems. And that we need to start preventing this stuff instead of reacting to it, because surgery and medication only represses symptoms. It does not help. Diet, lifestyle, behavior, and the ability to foresee problems down the road are what will actually have that measurable change in, the epidemics that we're dealing with today. And I think once that shifts, then you'll start to see companies jumping on board. You'll start to see global projects to help employees keep their livelihood and their health. Because it's scary, man. That's why I've grown incredibly passionate about this topic, because it's actually scary. Like, I don't think people understand the repercussions of our health decline right now. I just don't think they understand how much money is going into preventing these diseases that can't, or not preventing, to reacting to these diseases that can't be solved with medications.
Yeah, how sustainable is the corporate model when the part of your deductions are the cost of healthcare? Like, how can you continue to meet Wall Street's objectives and bottom lines if with the cost of healthcare? Like, how can it sustain itself?
It can't. And like, I was reading about it recently, and before 2040, the cost for healthcare is going to outweigh the GDP. I mean, it's going to be like it's not.
So people will work just for healthcare.
Exactly. It's not slowing down at all, despite all the information. To my point, like, we have everything at our fingertips, and it seems as though it's even harder now with all the information. Because obviously there's a lot of bad information.
Yeah, I like I like information educates, it informs, it's consistent, it does.
It's a great tool.
Schedules for people,
It's a great tool, and that's the thing. Like, you wouldn't and back to that point of, if we developed a program, which we are currently, it would still have that stuff. I don't think it's a bad thing to have for the people that can use it, but I think a lot more people they just need to be told what to do. And they need to see our faces. Like, I need to be showing up at the office on Monday at 7 a.m. and getting everybody's asses up and saying, here, we're doing some joint mobility so you don't develop osteoarthritis in the next 4 years sitting in your seat for 50 hours a week.
I thought it was an interesting correlation. We've talked about what seems like the main, I'm not going to pretend, I'm not going to blanket statement at all, but it seems like what the main focus is on these wellness programs is information, okay? But when you look at actual like team building strategies, it was completely the opposite of that. Some of the most common team building strategies, like successful, is things that encourage participation, right? Mm-hmm. Where again, certain members are taking ownership, certain members are stepping up, but within the team aspect, everyone's an equal player. There's no longer bosses, when you're doing something outside of the workplace. So some of the most common ones were things like softball teams. I think everybody can appreciate that. Bowling leagues, where again it's a team score. I even found this one interesting. They're using golf, but when they played golf, they used best ball. Right, so you didn't have one person, playing really well and dominating, and nobody else. So it was team. So it was interesting that when you're looking at team building strategies, a lot of it was like physical. It was exercise based. It was something again outside and away from the corporate world, where again it was all equality. There were no bosses. There were no higher ups. Everybody was just played an equal role in it. But yet when you compare that to the typical wellness program, it's just essentially kind of membership based. It's satisfying a certain placebo, I guess.
And again, the beauty of the information is that you can scale it to there's no end. I mean, you can put a billion emails into an email list and shoot it out. So it's very simple, and I see why it's so attractive for companies to use that, because it's just kind of very passive and easy to implement. And, if people use it, they use it. If they don't, they don't, whatever. And again, I'm not going to expect some CEO that's busy as hell to put all of his efforts into a wellness program. I mean, I'm sure he's got enough on his plate, or anybody in a big corporation of that sort. They're just not. It's just not where their priorities. That's not what they're getting paid for. So it's hard to really drive home a program that's going to be best for the employees. That's not just going to be simple and scalable. But it's fascinating that you bring up the whole idea of you're outside of the workplace and we're all just people. Because I think that's like, at the end of the day, I think that's how everyone needs to look at their life to become like I hate using the word a more enlightened person, but I mean, that's getting over the fear of like your boss. I mean, they're just a person, and they're very well broken, just like you might be. That high-power CEO might not have the perfect life. You don't know.
That's funny. I thought about that. I said, I left. I used to work for a Roush Automotive. I was there for a while, and when I left there, I was younger. I was arrogant. They don't appreciate me, but that was my motivation for starting my own business, and it's been quite an experience from that day till now. But I've always said if I had to go back to work, I would actually be an exemplary employee. And the reason for it is because exactly to what you just said, I now appreciate better what these managers and what these CEOs are dealing with. Again, if you're in a corporation that has, again, say 50 to 100 people, think of how many relationships, think of how much business needs to occur for everyone to get paid, all the way down to that last person, all the way down to your truck drivers and your janitors and the food truck lady that comes in. I mean, you have to satisfy a lot of relationships. You have to meet a lot of deadlines, and there's a lot of pressure that goes in with that. So I've looked at CEOs a little bit differently, and I appreciate better the positions that they're in and the amount of work and business that they facilitate that feeds so many people. So I think I would be a lot more thankful, but also being that selfish person I am, I would just keep thinking about how can I make my job easier. And it comes right back to what we're talking about. It comes back to building small pockets of teams, within this one big entity and this us mentality, because again, I like the idea of that team building where it eliminates the ego for at least a moment and develops this us, this ethnocentric vantage point on working. It's working together. It's us against this obstacle, or it's us against this deadline, or us against this this day on the calendar. So it's really it's neat, and I think that's why you and I are both fascinated by it, because working with people one-on-one, like you said, it's hard to reach. But, man, when you're dealing with a large group of people that are all on the clock and all motivated, and I think it can be really sticky. I think it could be really awesome.
Another big point, too, is the attractiveness of that. And I'll speak, to a lot of the kids that are my age. A lot of my friends have just recently graduated college. And it's just a different world. It's not. No one's going to go get a job on a line and just stamp like car doors for 8 hours a day. Especially if they have a degree. They're like a lot of kids. A lot of millennials are a little bit arrogant in that sense. They want a company that's progressive and doing these cool, new, innovative stuff. And if you want to attract the best kids coming out of school, you have to be providing that kind of stuff. So that the team building aspect and the fun things outside of work and the community is what's going to attract those bright young kids into your whatever business you run. So and that's another big thing. It's like Google. Everyone would want to work for Google. Yeah. Have you seen their facilities? They're beautiful. They're amazing. They want freedom. They have like a certain day, or they allow any worker to work on their own project at any time, and it's bread, Gmail, like all of their big innovations have come from one worker working on their own side project, and they like encourage the hell out of that. It's just the whole rigid industrial revolution based approach to businesses doesn't work anymore, and we're going to see that fade out. And I hope we'll ride the wave. I hope we'll be one of the content providers. I hope we'll be a company that people look towards to get healthier, to develop better team building strategies, to improve the overall environment of their workplace.
Well, remember, we will be.
Yeah.
It's the wish fulfilled. The wish has already been fulfilled.
Yeah.
And now we're doing it.
We definitely have the means. And I think the way we're thinking about it is already an outlier in the industry.
It's exciting.
It is. It's absolutely exciting.
I've pitched it to a couple of people, and you're kind of kind of blowing hair back a little bit. Like, wow, that's a really cool idea. And so I do feel like I'm kind of on the front lines of, or we're on the front lines of this new idea. And what the beauty of it is, I love telling people I don't have it all figured out, but we understand the motivation. The motivation is to make people believe more today than they did yesterday. And if I can get them in here, if we can get them in a room, in a group, throwing a med ball around and doing it with other people, I'm not worried. I'm not worried about having it all figured out. I'm not worried about my next newsletter, because we're actually going to have exactly what we are looking for, and that's participation, and that's, again, creating that larger sense of us. Right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty exciting. So what is it? So what makes us, like who are we? What is the Inflow Wellness Academy? What is it that we believe in that makes us the best fit? Like, I don't want to be the best location. I don't want to be the closest to the business. I've always said, if people are driving past other gyms or other facilities to get to my gym, I'm doing something really well, right? I don't want the logistics. I want the product. So, so in general, what does the Inflow Wellness Academy do? What do we believe? And why does our system work? Your opinion?
Yeah, I think that obviously the needs-based approach on the individual level, when people come through our doors, we try to really figure out what it is that they're looking for, because every human being's different. Give somebody a keto diet and watch them struggle, and then give it to another person and watch them flourish. It pretty much sums it up. But I think what we're trying to do, and I think why this corporate or this just team building aspect to our company is going to fit so well, is that we're trying to understand the link between a life well lived and the importance of taking care of your physical being. At least this was kind of how I think about it in my own self, and what I want out of, this company, is that it's very difficult to perform at your best when you're just groggy and lacking energy and unfocused and unmotivated. And it always starts on that foundation of your health and wellness. But it manifests into a bigger picture of a life well lived. You're going to be nicer if you show up and you work out in the morning. I guarantee it. You're going to be nicer and more motivated if you eat a clean breakfast and then you have a great post-workout meal. You're going to have better relationships. It's going to build into your life in so many other aspects. And I just love the idea of that. And I think that somewhere along the line, I don't know where in our healthcare, we just missed that. I don't know if that was completely financially driven. I don't know if it was because obviously big pharma is so lucrative, and that propaganda has led us down this path astray from the realities of what it really takes to keep your body and mind healthy, which has nothing to do with a plethora of medications that you're just sweeping shit under the rug. And it's so enjoyable to be a part of it, but it's also tiring and often frustrating, because it's a more difficult path, right? I think I'm getting a little off topic here and a little straight from the original question, but I think the Inflow Wellness Academy is just trying to fill this gap that it's hard to find in the world today.
I think back to, again, the analogy I used earlier about, when I was employed with a corporation, how they didn't appreciate me enough, they didn't love me enough, they didn't see my value. And how now what it would mean to me to have a job like that, because being an entrepreneur, you're full of struggles, it's full of doubt, it's full of unknown, and it's not like people in a corporate world. I think people in a corporate world are laid off more than like small businesses go out of business. But there's just that element. There's that element of feeling safe. Like when you get that job in that large corporation, I've made it. I'm safe. I guess Inflow Wellness Academy, we've talked about it. We want people to live life in flow. We want people to just kind of move from one area to the next, and for everything to feel about the same as the thing before it and the thing we anticipate. That's why there's you have less high huge expectations, but there's also not the downside to that. So there's a lot of competency. So me going, if I had to go back to that job, and I would be that great employee. Did the job change at all? Did my relationships with my coworkers change at all? Did the actual work that I'm doing, did that change? No. I shape-shifted my mind, so I'm now, because of some struggles, I have the ability to take the exact same scenario and put a different spin on it. So where there was angst and resentment, now there's thankfulness, understanding, and an extreme amount of cooperation. And with the exact same job, you would think I'm describing two different jobs, but I'm not. I'm just simply describing how when you're in the world long enough, that's what flow is all about, is realizing that there's a bigger picture than just my job. There's a bigger picture than my clothes and my car. There's a bigger picture than where I'm going to vacation this year. And I want to be just as content, watching a game as I am working.
What would your capacity be to stay there with this new mindset? Like, do you think if you went back and even with this, bright mindset towards the job itself, when do you think you might start going, man, nothing's going to change?
Well, I think I change my value system. I change why am I here? Well, you have certain objectives you have to meet. You have a mortgage, unless you're fortunate enough to have paid it off. You have to eat. You have to have competent transportation.
Would you be looking for another option though? Would it get to that, or would you just continue mindlessly doing the job with a great attitude because you need to pay your bills?
It's a really good question. I think the reason I connect myself with my past is because you don't know things that you don't know, right? So I don't know what my next job might be. If I wasn't at the Inflow Wellness Academy, where would I be? Well, I'm thankful for the amount of internal work that I've done over the last several years to where I think I could create that flow state regardless of what I was doing. Okay, I think I could walk dogs. But again, because I think I can better rationalize what it means to be successful. Is that a bank account? Is that being able to afford very expensive things? Or is that just being thankful for the things that you do have and understanding that my life's purpose is I'm trying to find deeper meaning. I'm trying to find a much deeper meaning than what I do for a living or what the labels are on my clothes. I want to be in bare skin without any things around me that I identify myself with. I just want to be the best person I was designed to be. And I don't think that a job can enhance that, like what we do. It's nice to go to work every day and make money knowing that you've improved values in the lives of others. But I also want to be able to do that if I worked as a florist. I want to be able to do that if I was a janitor because, again, somebody's got to clean the floor. I think Martin Luther King said, definitely don't quote me, but he says if you sweep the streets, you want God himself to look down and say, I want to met the man who swept between 4th and 5th because it's beautiful, right? I read a book from Robin Sharma, A Leader Has No Title, just about how if you just choose greatness on a daily basis and you just be the best you can be at whatever it is you're doing, that wealth will find you. The world will acknowledge you. The world will pay dividends, right? But when you get to that point, maybe the dividend is just in finding joy in very simple things. So
finding time. I think that's where we're being robbed, and it's an illusion. Making money is obviously very important because it can lead to so much less stress. But at what point do you stop stressing about when you can start paying your bills, it's, there's no greater feeling. If anybody's listening and they've been barely making it and then all of a sudden they can pay their bills pretty comfortably, I don't think there's any better feeling financially than that feeling right there.
And if you want to know what it's like, just become an entrepreneur.
Yeah, right. You'll
learn how to scrape your ass to the ground, brother.
Yeah, for sure. But and then I think it's very similar with health too. I think we overcomplicate it as well. I think that there's too many distractions in our world today. I mean, I saw a little Instagram post from a fitness page that was just I forgot who it was quoted, but it was eat well most of the time, exercise a couple times a week, go to bed at a decent time, get a good amount of sleep, and wake up and repeat that for the rest of your life. And you're going to be healthier than 90% of people. Obviously, it's not the most you could always optimize that. But the amount of people that are missing all of those steps, that are just not sleeping at night, are eating poorly, aren't moving their body, and those are just they're such basic human needs. I was going to say earlier to your point of the whole, want but don't need, or whatever, or have but don't need, rather. And it's kind of the same idea, you know. So I'm getting a little astray here.
It's okay. Well, it's like I like to look at it. You know, we did our rule of 168 on our last podcast, but you think about it. What does it mean to be insane? And I call it measurable insanity. Measurable insanity to me is complaining that it's raining. You know what I mean? It's like being really upset that, you know, that it rained today. Like, that's measurably insane. Like, it's something you have zero control over. Something that's very measurable to me is, again, working at a job you don't really like and don't feel important in for 25 years just to somehow meet this idea of this objective to retire and sit on your ass and then start living. Right? That's a long fucking time, man. 25 years at 40 to 50 hours a week is a massive investment to put in to start living then.
And that's a wormhole you probably won't ever climb out of.
Ever.
Yeah,
ever. If you're doing something that many hours a week and you can't find an ounce of enjoyment in it, that sell your house, sell your cars, peel your labels, and maybe you need to be a florist. You know, I just don't know that we're gonna truly identify with, quote, life's purpose and getting the most out of this human experiment if you're spending, you know, 80% of your adult life going to a place that you absolutely can't stand.
Yeah, and again, I think that ties it all together that in 2018, that's slowly fading, that thought process. You know, you can't really just get a job at Ford and, you know, put your 40, 50 years in and retire with your pension and all your Social Security and, you know, your 401k and work your way up the ring. That shit just doesn't exist anymore.
Well, especially how they've said that this is going to be the first generation in history that's not going to outlive our parents.
Yeah.
So you're not retiring, bro. You eating out of a vending machine
I'm not living everybody.
I don't know that I want to,
I
man.
drink kale shakes.
What the hell am I going to do?
And I'm 7 hours a day.
I'm going to be like 140 and I'll be like, what do you want to do today?
Yeah, right, dude. I'll fight. As long as my meat vehicle moves, I'm good. That's my big thing. When I don't know, though. Maybe if my body was decaying, I would just write books or something. But if I couldn't move my hand, maybe by then they'll have some sort of telekinetic. I can just, like, think about the words.
Well, that's interesting. Look at Stephen Hawking. And he, as a person, is fucking fascinating to me because when you look at him, I mean, he's exited the physical world. He's not there. You know, it's like I look at it, I'm like, why would you even want to open your eyes? But maybe he's got it all figured out because he's unzipped the physical. He stepped out of it. It has nothing. So he no longer has guilt, anxiety, doesn't like his face. You know, he's beyond all of that. So I don't know, maybe he's in the quantum somewhere, man. Maybe he's in the fourth dimension and he gets it.
That's why he's so damn smart.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like when you can, but for those of us that still have our physical meat vehicles, this is why I think you and I are excited about this wellness plan. I want to get to the meat and potatoes of what makes our plan special. What is it we want to do that's not being done, and how is it? You know, how is it going to be effective? Why does somebody want to be a part of our wellness campaign?
Because we're going to care.
We're going to fucking care.
We're going to care.
I think it's simply just the hands-on. You know, we want to create. Am I wrong?
Most programs are coming from insurance companies. When have insurance companies ever been looking out for you?
It's kind of like going to the American Heart Association's website and getting their diet.
Yeah, when have they ever cared about you? You know, they're organisms. They're organisms that are working on a level that like humans can't even articulate anymore. They're bigger than any one person. And again, that's my fear of getting too big with this. You know, is I don't know that I want to be that high-powered CEO that's got to pay 700 people and is stressing out all the time because I think that goes against what I want out of life. So when I think about what we want to accomplish with this, and I love your idea of we don't really know what we're doing, and that like I think to evolve you have to go through the fire a lot of the time. So I think if we land one account, we'll learn how to have two accounts, and if we have two accounts, then we'll learn how to have four accounts. but I don't think we can know how to have 20 accounts without starting with one, So at least to do it the way we want to do it, where we care, where we're there, where we show up, where we're doing hands-on seminars and lunch and learns and morning mobility and afternoon kettlebell sessions and on-site, whatever, this, that, and that. That's what I want to do, because I think that little ripple could just start to get bigger and bigger. And if one company is seeing another company that's implementing this, and all of a sudden that company just starts, doing much better, obviously financially, but also just people imagine your company A and company B starts crushing it with their wellness program, and then all of a sudden half your employees want to quit to go get a job over there. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to get into the competitive aspect, but if I was an employee and I was dissatisfied with my work environment, and right next to me is a job that's open with a work environment that's incredibly attractive, I'm going there. And it's going to force company A to have to shapeshift. And then we're going to see that just climb and exponentially grow to the point where you're not going to be able to have a successful company without these implications. And hopefully there was more companies than just us. Hopefully there's a lot of companies out there, because obviously we can't take them all. There's just no way. We can't satisfy the needs of – and we live in Michigan, in Plymouth, Michigan, like Livonia, Plymouth area. It's one of the most abundant manufacturing areas in the United States. And so one
of the wealthiest, yeah.
Yeah, you're getting these manufacturing employees, which are notoriously the most unhealthy places to work. I've worked in a manufacturing plant. You've worked in a manufacturing plant. It is not normal to walk into the lunchroom and eating a salad. I got ostracized. People would talk shit about me.
Yeah, and you only get 20 minutes to eat.
Yeah. You can't eat a salad in 20 minutes. You need 3 hours.
I got to start eating it on the way to the lunchroom, man.
Throw it in the blender.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm excited about, is exactly, our needs-based approach. A newsletter may meet a need, but I question the amount of needs it can meet. So
and it could reinforce the tangible aspect of our program.
So our program, basically the tangible parts of ours is the creation of groups, the creation of yoga classes, the creation of joint mobility classes.
Accountability. When all those people show up on Wednesday night, we can all go, hey, you guys see the newsletter? Any of you guys make that recipe yet? Oh, you haven't? Okay, let's do that. Let's maybe one person in that group's made the recipe and she's like, oh, it was phenomenal. Now you got 7 other people inspired to go make the recipe. So it's a little more. It has a little more meaning in the newsletter, because all these people are seeing each other, and then we're seeing them, and we can reinforce the newsletter.
And that's a compliment to, I think this is why we've assembled the staff that we have here. I think that's why we've assembled the yoga instructor, the energy therapist, the active release therapy, the functional range therapy. We have our meat and potatoes is our strength training element, but we also are working with a management team here inside this building that is affording us the opportunity to grow and to shape and to again to have the space that we need if we're going to need it. So I'm excited. I'm excited about the particulars of our plan being, the customization of group times and group schedulings, the ability to assess people and to create a needs-based package for each individual. So we're not offering them packages 1 or 2. We're going to offer each team member their best opportunity to have their needs met and grow as an individual, even within the group settings. That sound about right?
Sounds beautiful.
Yeah, man. So that's I think that's where I get most excited is the unknown factor, but we're going to be able to measure. We're going to be able to measure our progress. Again, everything from body fat percentages, BMI ratios, but how about even on the which is something I'm extremely excited about. What about the personality assessment that I want to use, in this wellness program? Like I want to know how a person thinks. I want to know if they're a red type, if they're a green type, if they're are they more alpha or are they more mealy mouthed, and so and then maybe retesting that personality, in the future and find out if we've created maybe a little bit more balance through the growth type environment that we can offer them here. So I want to measure and I want to prove. And I would love to get a correlation back from the business that proves like, wow, yeah, we do have healthier bottom lines. We do have less sick time. Our production's off the charts. And I think that's what I'm most excited about is finding that outlier company, that mindful HR person or CEO that can appreciate the hands-on approach that we want to give here, that we want to be more in person than online. And we want to be an actual physical resource and a physical safe place that people can come to and learn and grow. And hopefully it creates, unification within the building, within whatever their building is. And it will help elicit some new growth even with that company. So I'm excited to meet this person, and I'm excited to kick this campaign off as soon as possible.
Yeah, 2018 will really be the telling tale of if corporate America's ready. If leaders are, again, for lack of a better term, enlightened and willing to invest in, the health of their company to get the greater return. And I think it was a Harvard study that they did. I'm not too sure what the programs entail, but they found that, with a good wellness program, every dollar spent was like $3 saved in the long run. So there has been some research built in. And I mean, it just makes sense. You know what I mean? You don't have to have a bunch of data and numbers, even though obviously it helps corporate America when they can see that. But to realign with your biology and evolution, you're going to perform better in every area of your life. I mean, it's just foolish to think otherwise. So that notion right there should allow, in my opinion, if I was a leader of a company, to take a leap. And what we're offering, or for our price, what we're going to be offering, the return is going to be stupid. I mean, it's not like what we're asking for is going to put a big dent in your financial infrastructure if you're a big corporation. You won't even know you're paying us. You know what I mean? So what do you have to lose? Try it. Give us 6 months. Give us a year. Let us show you. Maybe we'll even give you a discount if you let us track everything, and you can kind of become our first, our data-driven approach. So, I'm excited, like you said, to launch the campaign, and I'm just curious to see, because I have been just kind of working for myself and in this beautiful place for most of my life. I've only held a couple jobs. I kind of just got into entrepreneurship at a very young age. So I don't know what corporate America is right now. I only know what I've read. I haven't been inside. So I don't know if leaders are ready to transition and start implementing these new wellness programs, and if their foresight is on a bigger picture, if they do want their company to have a good look and a good name more than just be profitable. So
yeah, you can't.
We'll see.
Yeah, you can't accomplish a new result doing things the same old way, right?
That's insanity.
Yeah, that's part of being measurably insane.
Yeah.
So, well, hey man, I'm thankful for this talk. I thought it went pretty well. Team building is the future. And we look forward to helping. Well, even if you're an individual, the Inflow Wellness Academy can help all you individuals. Yeah. But
we got that down to a science.
Yeah, we are definitely looking forward to that bigger picture, that helping as many meat wagons as we can. Yeah, I like
that. Got that from Joe Rogan. He refers to as the meat vehicle.
Okay, I'm gonna try to use it more. I'll have to practice it in sentence maybe a few more times.
It's a good saying. Yeah, and I don't think neither of us meant for this to be just a big promotion for our business in this episode, but it's something that we're incredibly passionate about, and I think it's a conversation that needs to open up. I think if you do any reading into what's going on in our health industry, it's a nightmare, and it shouldn't be. It has to be one of the most broken systems in America today, and it just doesn't get the rap it should. So I think beyond a big commercial for our wellness program, what we wanted to do was open that line of conversation and make you think about how we need to see a shift in the way we take care of ourselves on a global scale. And I think that doing it through your work where you don't have to individually pay for it can be incredibly helpful. I think corporate America can pay for the best wellness service ever. You might just have a low-end job and you can't pay $500 a month. But if your company is, covering 70% of it, now there's no excuse. Mm-hmm. Because how many people come in saying, oh, I can't afford it, I can't afford it, I can't afford it. So if we can somehow get that off the table, I mean, we could help hundreds, millions of people. And we could see, the shift that we need to see before it's too late. So it's...
Well, maybe, I guess in that case, maybe I will live to be 150 just so I see how this all plays out.
Oh, dude, I'm going to have bionic legs.
The cyborgs that walk the earth. But you know what? I'll still have a heart, okay? I'll still have a heart.
I might get a better one though. I might upgrade.
It'll be a pacemaker,
Yeah.
but
I might upgrade. I saw it was one of the pages I followed. They said that they were able to coat a heart with like electrical stimulation to keep it beating forever. And some guy like the first comment was like, "So we can keep a heart beating forever, but I still can't close out my YouTube and listen to music." And I was like, it pretty much sums up like where we're putting our like. I mean, in a very trivial comedic way, but it just goes to show it's not our inability. It's just we're not putting resources in the correct spot. I mean, we could solve our health crisis if we just put the resources there very quickly. So I'm excited. I'm excited to come back to this podcast a year from now and see
what we've done.
Yeah, see what we've done.
And measure our results.
Exactly, absolutely.
Cool, brother. Well, thanks for the chat, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will see you next week. Thanks again for tuning in, guys. Just want to give a quick shout to our sponsor, the Inflow Wellness Academy, located in Plymouth, Michigan. Make sure you check them out at inflowacademy.com, on Facebook and YouTube at Inflow Wellness Academy, and Instagram at Inflow Academy. Mention that you're a listener of the Finding Flow podcast and receive some awesome discounts on our exceptional services over at the Inflow Wellness Academy. These services include personal training through semi-private and private. We offer yoga, massage therapy, laser therapy, group classes, just about anything you need to optimize your life. We'll guide you through nutrition. We'll guide you through supplementation. We'll help you build a strong mind and help you achieve a better state of flow on the day-to-day basis. So make sure you check them out. And once again, thanks for tuning in to the Finding Flow podcast.